live and in person. I'm not going to do the music. And yeah, I'm live right now. Hopefully people can hear me. I recently got a copy. The last show that was done, it was done by Joey, got a copyright strike. And I was blocked from copyright. And not really a fan of any of that kind of thing. I don't necessarily need to play music or anything like that. It doesn't really enhance anything. If they're coming, they're kind of coming for me. But you know what? If we are, if this show is to be canned, I'd prefer it to be Joey or me. And Joey is the reason that I have this platform to begin with, and all other platforms. So I would prefer that he not. I prefer that we maintain this show, just because there are things you can say. You don't have to have any music or even play anything. You can just basically be here as a human being, and I can talk to the audience and the limited audience that I have, and give them a perspective on things. Well, she said BLM makes music, and then yeah. So right now, if you're in the online world, it's kind of like being in a house with a very permissive parent, and then all of a sudden, like a very like you're a single. It's almost like being in a house. Like YouTube was first. You're in a house, single mom. You can do whatever you want, and then all of a sudden, mom marries a really strict stepdad, and now there are rules, and he has his own kids, and his kids can do whatever they want, but they got kind of rules for you. And of course, you're going to resent it, but it is what it is. People weaponize offense, and they can get away with things that you certainly cannot. Yesterday, I was at a place, and I was walking, and someone was speaking to me, and I didn't understand them. They had the mask over their face. And then I went closer. I said, yeah, you trying to get a hold of me? And he said, "What's up, Uncle Fester?" And I am bald, but I was wearing a hat at the time, and I just, I said, "Okay." And I just kept walking. Well, what about Joe? Oh, now, Political Woodstock wants to know, what about Joe Rogan? Well, what about him? He seems to be fine and okay. Me, on the other hand, I have been, Twitter has severely restricted me. Let me see if I can even post on Twitter. Will I be allowed to post? Let me see here. And let me see. Ah, I am. Okay, well, that was just a short one, and I am able to post, so that gives me a big grin on my face. I'm very happy that I'm allowed to post. Sometimes I'm not. And Dawning Gender says, YouTube chosen one ones get favorable, ones, I think he would say ones that get favorable treatment. You know what? I don't think, did he take the $100 million offer from Rumble? I don't think so. I'm going to look at that right now and see if that is the case. I'm going to look on my Twitter right now and see uh, if he's taken the $100 million offer. And yeah, and there was also information about Trevor Noah. Now, Trevor Noah, I call him the South African Marxist. He probably isn't when I'm angry, but I can remember in the late '80s and early '90s when we talked endlessly about South Africa. Today, you hardly hear a boo because the establishment doesn't necessarily want you to talk about that issue. That's just the way it is. If and it's gotten worse since the George Floyd BLM Antifa riots, you know, and it is the way it is. The fact that people can weaponize offense, and they're often offended by donning armor. The people who were in my inner circle were deeply offended by donning armor. But if I had a Hebrew Israelite on or a black nationalist, I don't think that they would be as upset. I really kind of believe that, you know. If I were asking him questions, even if I was agreeing with him, they certainly, I doubt the crew that I'm with would even be nearly as upset as I was with donning armor. And I don't even, I mean, I agree with some things that a lot of people say, but because I had agreements, they thought everything that I said were agreements. And Donning says, "Let them eat cake." It's nice to have white people united. And again, I want to unite with free thinking and noble people. And Joe and I are both free thinking people, and Joe has his own thoughts and his own ideals and his own beliefs. And I do too. I certainly do not want to get. Um, I don't want to get removed from this platform. My Rumble page, which is in the description, goes directly there. And I don't want to be hurt. I just, that's not my thing. And of course, again, I don't know what the government can or should do about the issue of censorship. But people who say they're a private company and have the right to discriminate, I guess that was the argument that people had for restaurants and businesses discriminating against people of color back in the day. So to a degree, they're defending Jim Crow, the right of people to discriminate back in the day. I guess they can say you can't change your race. Can you really change your ideology? Can you change being gay? Can you change liking ice cream? Can you change liking chocolate? So is there something I disagree with you on? Okay. I'm going to say what I disagree with. Okay, if there's something I disagree with donning armor on, and you know what? Okay, I have time on my hands, so I'm going to let Donning into the stream, because I don't want to just say what I disagree. And Dawning, there are things I actually. Dawning believes that whites are better when they're in the when they're, I guess, when they're in the majority. And I guess most people want to be in the majority. There is a part of me that clings to the fact that America is an ideal, not necessarily not based on a race. Dawning, how are you?
I'm doing well, brother. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Well, one of the things that I would disagree with you on is uh, I believe in um, in nobility and goodness, and that's not necessarily attached uh, to a race or an ethnicity. Uh,
Yeah.
and
I've
I've
never, I've never said that it was. I believe nobility and kindness, or whatever. I think you can find that across humanity. So that's not something that I've professed.
Yeah, no, but I'm assuming racial identity. You said race is your gang sign, and in some instances that's true. When you're in prison, I don't think you have any choice but to kind of see it that way. And maybe in certain neighborhoods that may be the case, but I don't know uh, if that's something that we should necessarily strive for.
No, it's not something to be strived for. It's just a reality. And that was actually Jim Goad who said, "Your skin color is a gang tattoo, whether you want it to be or not. It is." And we can see this when we look out at the world. It doesn't necessarily have to be uh, prisons. It's everywhere. It's why you get little Chinas popping up in every major city. It's why you have black neighborhoods, why you have Hispanic neighborhoods. It's why you have Black Lives Matter protests. The only people that aren't allowed to have a sense of racial identity are white people. And I wish to wake white people up. Um, so, regardless, it's not that I want it to be this way or I don't want it to be this way. It's just the way that it is. We have diversity hires. So corporations will say, well, we're going to strive to have this many black people working here, this many Asian people, this many Hispanic people, this many Native Americans, this many Indians, so on and so forth. But those are hires at the expense of potentially white hires. So a diversity hire is a white person losing their job to somebody else because they are of different ethnic origin or a different race. It's all of it goes against white people. I'm just bringing light to that, and people don't like to hear the facts. So yes, I stand by that. It's not that I want it that way. It's just the way that it is. It's the way of the world.
Well, I mean, Dawning Gender says Dawning again with his racist BS, but I I got to be honest with you here. I haven't heard any BS. I mean, diversity hires really does mean non-white and probably non-Asian too. It should be based on hires should be based on merit, and I want to be able to hire whoever I want. Um, and merit should take the day. It's not, and we certainly do have problems in this country, and people have weaponized offense, and they certainly have weaponized offense at anything that is, AKA, uh, talking about white grievances or people with sense grievances. That is true. There's not a hell of a lot that I can do about that, though. I mean, the elites have the power, and I mean, there are things that I can do about it, but on this program, it's not I mean, when someone can shut you down, they can shut you off this. They can shut me off this YouTube channel without without any reason whatsoever. And Donning Gender says, "Boo hoo, white people are the victim." And condescension is a tool of the left, uh, and it's one of the things they do is they go boo-hoo, and they really have no empathy if you're of European descent. Yeah.
Well, it's basically white people are being victimized, but I don't believe that white people are the victim. We don't operate in that way. We're kind of more of a pull yourself up by bootstraps race. And the only reason why we're all here talking on these platforms is because of white people. Now, one of the most ungracious ways of admitting that you have no argument because you know that it's true is just to shout somebody down, and this is extremely effective against whites, is just to call them a racist. So we can't express a grievance, which is the victimization of white people. We cannot talk about it. And if we do, they'll shout us down, call us an ugly word, racist. So it's I don't care. You could call me whatever you want. Use all of your buzzwords. Use white supremacist, use Nazi, use bigot. I don't care. All right? Because what I say is the truth. And everybody knows it. We all have eyes to see and ears to hear. The days of Jim Crow or slavery, well, it's us that ended those. There's still slaves in Africa. It's miraculous that nobody's talking about that. There's still slaves today in the world. Nobody cares. They haven't gotten done with beating up the white man. And another thing, if you look at
white people, if it's not done by white people, nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares. There was something in the news recently about the NFL. Now, over 70% of the NFL players are non-white. And everybody is fine with that. So they had to switch it. So now it's not about the players. Now it's that there's not enough black people that own football teams or are the managers of football teams, something to that effect. I don't know. I don't watch the sport. So there is never going to be a point where white people have paid for these past transgressions that never happened. Let's be honest with each other. Everyone took slaves. Everybody has black marks on their history, no pun intended. But they will just keep moving the goalpost, and they'll keep finding ways of blaming whites for this thing or that thing. There is nothing that we will ever be able to do to say, okay, we're all square now. We judge each individual on their merit. Those days aren't coming. They'll never come. It can get so bad there'll be one white person left on planet Earth, and everyone around will still be spitting on him, trying to kill him or her, because there is no compensating for these allegations. That white people are bad, white people are evil. We're born evil. People magazine printed a cover, white parents, your baby is racist. Things like this. And this just few examples that I'm throwing out there, but we all see it and it's happening. It's getting worse. Do you think that white people will be treated with the same level of dignity and respect that they have provided to minorities or non-whites, will we be treated the same? I doubt it very much. You know that we
We
won't.
will be treated the same. We
God,
will be.
Further that we fall down and we become a minority in our own nations, not anybody else's, the
I,
more we will be despised and hated.
I want to ask Sly, where's your proof that what you just said? You said we will. Go ahead. Give me proof.
I don't need to show you proof of that we will treat you the same way you treat us. I don't need proof of that. They'll be
What do you
shown
mean?
in due time.
Oh, so we got to wait. Are we going to be treated badly or good?
Well, it depends, because some of you people are scumbag. You'll be treated like shit if you treated us like shit. Simple.
Is this about revenge and vendetta?
I don't know.
Sounds like it to me, buddy.
I'm not here for revenge or vendetta. I just find your opinions to be ridiculous. Donning, white people are going to be extinct at some point, and some ridiculous, whatever he's
He
talking
didn't say
about.
that. He didn't say that. What? Let
The
me
way
ask you.
he says it seems as such.
What? Okay. What did he say that you specifically disagree with?
The people that are non-white are going to take over. That's not really something that I see ever happening. I don't see that as an actual possibility.
You don't see the left as being a champion and showing double standards when it comes to behavior, particularly what is on social media and what is in the what is open to our public platforms, our major public platforms. You don't see an inconsistency in behavior, and that the elite has chosen that white people are not to speak of their grievances the way other groups are.
Well, that's done on both sides. It's on both sides. Doesn't matter.
I guess you and I are not seeing perhaps the same thing.
Yeah, because you're on one side. I'm on neither side. I don't care about taking sides in either of this nonsense. Because I'm not very much into race like you guys. And I'm not into being a justice warrior of justice. Because I don't believe in
Well,
such things.
you're not being attacked because of your race, because you're not white. We are.
Yeah, you say it like I haven't been attacked, or other people have been attacked. You're just bitching because, oh, I'm white, I've been attacked. Wah. I've been attacked too, but
Should
it's not a
we
big
relish
deal.
should we relish the fact that whites are becoming minorities in their own homelands? Should we be happy about that? Should we be happy that we are uh, dying out, as I'm often told by non-whites?
Well, the world's a melting pot, and you're just caring about something that doesn't really matter. Oh, there's less white people.
Seems like that melting pot. By the way, Mr. Gender or Sly, it seems like that melting pot goes in one direction. It doesn't go. There's no melting pot in Japan. There's no melting pot in China. No melting pot in India. Just in Western Europe and in America. So and Canada too. You want to get there, but there is the melting pot only goes in one direction. It seems like I could be wrong on that, but that's the way it feels.
Yeah, you throw 100 chocolate bars into the melting pot and then pop in one marshmallow. There's not going to be marshmallow in that pot. So it's a
I
wonderful
love me a
melting
lot
pot.
of chocolate, though. I love me some chocolate.
I like chocolate and peanut butter. That's a tasty combination right there. And I can't have it because I'm diabetic. But why would you say that? Jeez Louise. Oh,
So Sly, let me ask you, the BLM, when they were running around looting, burning down city blocks, screaming across the world, I think even at one point they tried to start up BLM protests in Japan. That was shot down rather quickly. Uh, Are they all crying? Are they just a bunch of racists? They're just all victims. Boo-hoo,
Both sides are a
blacks.
bunch of cis idiots. Both of them
So
are.
they're
Guys
idiots.
are.
They're idiots, and I'm a racist.
They're racist idiots, and you're also a racist. You're autistic racist. That's fine.
Well, at least he's consistent, but I haven't heard him. He hasn't gone after non-white groups very often. You have to kind of pull teeth. No, sorry, Brian. I hope that you feel better. But it's like pulling teeth trying to get him to criticize any non-white group. But he's more than willing to criticize a white man that's willing to stand up and say, "Hey, we're being done an injustice here. This isn't fair. This isn't right."
Well, I mean, there seems like a lot of moral hypocrisy, but I'll say that Sly is at least he is consistent, aka Donning Gender, is consistent. He thinks both groups are are wrong, but one group has the power of the establishment and gets away with things that a pro-white or pro-Eurocentric group would never get away with. Why is Donning Gender on again?
My thing messed up. I don't know what happened.
Oh, there we go. So yeah, because you weren't talking, I thought you were
I had
motivated.
to leave and come back.
Oh, okay. Well, now you're back.
Sly, can you take a guess as to which race I reserve the most disdain for when it comes to the victimization of white people? Which race do you think I blame most of that on?
It would have to be the black people. Sound like somebody that doesn't like black people.
No, I put it on white people for not standing up for themselves and not embracing the fact that they have an identity and they should be proud of it.
Not all white identities you should be proud of, though.
What white identities are you speaking of? Are you talking about
Let's see.
KKK and Nazis?
Now, the Swedish are terrible. Let's see who else. The Belgians. The Germans. The Germans did have a good plan at one point, but Hitler had to screw it up.
The Swedes allow for a lot of rape to happen in their country, and so do the Germans by foreigners.
That's also India, though. A lot of train rape happens too in India.
Yeah, well, that shouldn't be tolerated anywhere. Rape should be called out wherever it is, and it should be condemned. And if it's by foreigners, these countries may want to think if these individuals are compatible with the norms of the country that they're going in, and the people who are citizens should have a right to be concerned. These grooming gangs in England were pretty bad, and the elites seem to ignore the issue. And I wanted to mention again, we used to talk a lot about South Africa in the late 80s and early 90s. Now you hardly hear a boo about that. And the elites went to shut that down very early. I remember Donald Trump wanted to talk about what was happening in South Africa with the farmers and the white farm murders, and the elites just shut that down immediately. I think if he gets elected again, it's something that we should talk about, and we should also talk about the rapes of England too. I think that needs to be, I think, almost a UN type of talk, because those women were victimized, and it was exacerbated by the woke left. And I think that there needs to be. I don't know if white genocide is in South Africa, but South Africa is a racial vendetta nation, and we need to come to terms with that. Good.
Going into the grooming gangs area, they were basically asking for it.
Give me a break. All right, that's so stupid. All right, is there anything to add? I'm going to end this show. Is there anything to add before I end this puppy? Donning?
Yeah, it sounds to me like there's nothing that I've said that you disagree with. So I'll take that. I'll take it and run with it. Great.
Well, okay, you know what? Before that, I believe in being honorable and noble, and I don't think that's. I think that honorability and nobility happen in a free society with freedom of speech and freedom of thought, and those things are important. And we don't have that right now.
What do you think that I don't believe in honor and nobility? I mean, it sounds like you're denoting that. Uh, that I don't believe in those concepts.
Above race.
Excuse me?
I believe in them above race.
Okay. I don't see the two as mutually exclusive, but that's fine.
That's where you and I think, disagree. Could be wrong on that, but I believe honor and nobility are important things. I don't necessarily have them, or at least the way I want them to. And Political Woodstock said that I'm unfair. And she said, you didn't honor my thoughts in writing. And she said it's absolutely, it became a genocide. You know what? I think we need to discuss that issue. That's an issue for the main stage, South Africa and Zimbabwe. Are issues for the main stage, and I think they are a result of leftism. And leftism does take on anti-white, anti-European descent hatred. It just is what it is.
And we could also throw in Haiti as well as the colonization of the Americas, because we're Native Americans did try to genocide us there as well. So yeah, we've had many and in Haiti they did genocide the whites. But yeah, all these places we can talk about it. You'll
I,
see what they're going to do to us when we do become a minority and we do lose power in our own homelands.
Well, and Political Woodstock says she's talking to former South Africans, and they do feel it's a genocide. They do feel that they're out to get them. And, some of the stuff that they're talking about, I mean, they talk about murder, like they sing songs about murdering white farmers, and it's acceptable. It's acceptable to say that, and it would be acceptable to say that in this country, too. If someone were to sing songs about murder the white farmers and kill the white farmer and kill the white person in South Africa or kill the Boer, they would be accepted in America. If you said something like "save the white farmers" or "give white refugees here," you'd be shut down, and treated violently. Let's just be honest here, on that.
Yeah, well, they're already doing it. I mean, you've seen the protests during the BLM thing when that was raging. They were driving around saying "kill all the white folk."
Yeah,
It's already here.
Yeah, they've already said that. So yeah, it is. It is what it is. It certainly is a reality, and it's an uncomfortable reality. A lot of people are either apathetic, are they, are willfully and forcefully blind on that issue, and they will be. If you bring it up, they'll be very vicious towards you. Anyway, any last words before I end the show, Donnie?
Yeah, my utopian future would be that where races all have their own identity and are proud of who they are, where they came from, their heritage, their culture, and lived in whatever system they chose to live in, um, including whites. Separate, but still with a level of decorum, respect, and dignity towards each other. I think that we would be better off separate but equal rather than forced integration. I don't believe on enforcing anybody to do things. If a community wants to be a white community, if a business wants to hire white people in a white community, they should have that. And blacks and Hispanics and so on and so forth should have the same privilege, the same right to do so. So I'm not forcing anything. I'm just letting it play out the way nature intended.
Well, I'm gonna that being said, well, I thank you for that, dawning. I think that reaching a noble and just society, freedom of speech and freedom of thought is important. And we are still facing a pandemic, and you can't really talk about that. Like I said, the last show that was done was given a strike and copyright for whatever reason. That's why I chose not to have any music entering onto that. And it is what it is. And Donning is entitled to his opinion. And I hope to come a day where all thoughts and other things are allowed, just because that is important. It's important for people who have grievances to air them, and so long as it's not violent, it should be allowed. All forms of grievances are allowed should be allowed within the society. We either have an open society and we have a platform where they allow freedom of speech and the First Amendment to flourish, or we don't. Anyway, this has been Brian with Transparency and Merit. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Also visit our Rumble page, and I would say try to get onto our webpage, transparencyandmerit.com, but that seems not to be working, at least on my end. Thank you very much.